Hello, welcome to the first ever video of Voices Repository. My name is Faye.
My name is Daniel.
So, what is Voices Repository? Can you explain to our audience?
Yeah, Voices Repository is this idea. It started with we want to preserve language, but not just any language. We want to preserve languages that are not visible, that languages you cannot find in Google Translator or in other services, that don't have too much content and any way to we can listen to them. Here's the idea.
So, as you talk about it, how many languages are there?
So let's show in the website here, have some informations,
great.
and we can see this. Okay, we are here now in the website from Voice Repository. And here explain a little about the language. Né? So have around 7,000 languages.
7,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. I didn't know that when we started this project that have so many languages in the world. Now, we are fixed just to English, or mine that is Portuguese.
Yes.
Yours that is Chinese. We know a bunch of them, like 50. If you go in Google, you're going to see like 100.
Well, as you can see here in the website, it says every 2 weeks, the world loses a language. Every 2 weeks.
Yes, this is a data from UNESCO that explain this. Because most of the languages have a very little or very few speakers. And most of them, they are speaking more than just one language. They are speaking this language that is being vanished, but also they are speaking the main country language. So what's happening is the new generation are learning just the country language, not the old language. So the languages are disappearing.
So as far as I know, few languages are just spoken by few people.
Yes, so most of the languages that we want to preserve, they are vulnerable. Have a language that are literally being vanished each 2 weeks because just have 1 or 2 speakers right now. So our idea is start to record them to the future generations, or even in this generation, had been made AI with them or tools that they can be listening. So the idea is to preserve them forever. We're going to record them and always going to have this data open source so people can listen to them and make AI tools or any other tools for colleges can study them, linguists can study them, and this way preserve. Think about it like this. We could have the database to the language that can be studied. You can make a tool like a Duolingo that's going to be able to study that is dying language. Or just study them, how they had gone from one language to another. Now we want to also preserve dialects, how people speak in different ways. So this is the idea. The idea is to save these dying languages.
Well, for my point of view, I'm a person who is really fascinated about different cultures and how the knowledges and everything about that culture inherited to another. So,
Yes.
And I do find the languages are one of the most main content things that goes together with those cultures. So think about when we do make these languages preserved, that means part of the culture is preserved. So that makes me feel this job is really meaningful.
It's shaking a little here, the table. Take care with the camera. It's shaking. But exactly, language keeps us united.
Great, yes.
So it's our first mean of being civilized. And right now, many languages are being outdated because they are technology impaired. Like if I want to listening, even some like main languages of some country, like Luxembourgish, the main language cannot be found in Google. You can find a translation, but you cannot hear it. And if you go to other AIs, they're gonna pretend they can speak the language. They will try to speak the language. And Luxembourgish is a language that can be speak for hundreds of thousands of people. Now imagine language that just have like 50,000 of speakers, 10,000, a bunch of them, like 500 or just 10. This language, they are left over and probably never gonna have a chance to be part of our technology or our future. And language, like you just said, is a way to preserve culture. Is our inheritance. Is something that is the first thing we learn about culture as a kid. Came from our parents to us. Is our first knowledge what a world is. And many languages, because don't have a amount of speakers enough, they are not seen as valuable. To Google or to companies in general, is not profitable. And it's not. Why would you have spent thousands of dollars to try to record a language, to try to understand, make a synthesizer, make a tool that no one gonna use ever? So our idea is exactly this: to make the database that tools in the futures, they can make AIs, they can make translation tools, they can make how can I say, learning apps, apps, learning apps, music, exactly, on that main language. That exactly. So they can use that language. If we talk about this, right? Like in the future, people are gonna be able to make a movie, and they go in this little tribe or a city that can speak of this language, and people are going to be able to speak that language in the movie in 200 years in the future, because we have preserved that language. We're going to have the data for that language. So this is voice repository is a way to preserve the culture of the world, preserve how we can keep us united.
So our job should be done as soon as possible.
Yes, exactly. Since that's each language dies vanished each 2 weeks, it's a very important thing. As soon as possible. Imagine like a language today is vanished. No one ever gonna hear this language, gonna be able to study this language, understand this language. How is a loss to the world culture, to the world technology, to the world civilization as one, when a big part of what made us is gone forever.
Yeah.
So another language is gonna happen exactly the same in 2 weeks. Another one in 2 weeks.
So we always talk about to save the planet, save these materials that are endangered. Those things probably would be lost forever somehow, but a culture, a feeling towards something, that thing can go forever with us. That is why I think.
Yes. And our project is finite. We have a goal that to preserve all the language that there is, no more, so no less. So we have a goal that is not touchable, but is concrete. Imagine like this: we want to end with the world pain, or we want to build homes for people. But every day, new people are being born, new needs are coming over, and so we're gonna keep building homes or building projects or ideas, and that never gonna fulfill. Our project, the voice repository, is exactly opposite of this. It has a begin and an end, and as soon as we get and the end is very important, because the end can be with we saving all the 7,000 languages, or we saving 6,500 because another 500 had gone, or we saving 6,000 or 5,000. So we need to rush to save, to preserve as most languages as possible. So our project is gonna end one way or another, or with we preserving most languages as possible, preserving all languages that have right now, or all languages have right now minus whatever have already gone in the future.
Well, that sounds a very time-consuming project.
Yes, it is. What we have been talking these days about this project is how are we going to do this?
Yes, exactly. I was going to say, I'm sure that we're going to bring up the technique ways of how we are going to preserve the language in the following videos.
Yeah.
But before that, why don't we take a look at our website?
Let's go back. So here we're going to explain our next goals, or how we want to do the voice repository. To start it, we have to choose one language. So have all
Like a
these
sample.
languages. Yes, to make the idea, to make the project. How is the name of this? To create the template. So we cannot go in the language that have just one speaker and try to record this voice. Gonna have too much time consuming and money consuming. Have many languages that are considered vulnerable, or that don't have technology to listen this language, but have a lot of speakers and have lots of means to record these voices. So our initial idea, is to record one language that have thousands of speakers, like Luxembourgish or Tahitian, that is easier to find someone that can stop their life to record their voice for hours, and we can use this voice later to share in open source that can be used in the tools. So our idea is not to create any tool. What is our idea?
So our idea is not to make the tools like AI tools, but to record the voices of this language, to create the database of the languages, and then can be used as AI tools for other usage. Can you explain better why we choose Luxembourgish as our template language?
I think this should be for another video, because this have lots of reasons for Luxembourgish. But fast way is think about, you need to go in a place on Earth that have some speakers, like a bunch of them, 10. These language are much more vulnerable than a language that have thousands of speakers.
Sure.
However, it's much harder to have one of this person to record their voice for the project and make a database that's going to be big enough and of good quality enough that can be used in the way we want, that can preserve this language. So, and for starting, this would be a much more cost consuming. And for a starter, so easier language like Luxembourgish, it would be a better way to make a template. So here the language that don't have representation, like just doesn't have any online or any technology representation at all. You cannot listen there in an audiobook. You cannot listen them on their news. Even that the news are on their language, you cannot listen that news in that language.
You're Brazilian, so you speak Portuguese.
Yes.
I'm Chinese, and Chinese is obviously my mother language. So for us, which has a generous speakers for this language, we're very easy to get the tools to access the database of our languages. But for Luxembourgish, it is kind of hard.
Yes. Think about this. Your language is Chinese, but not just Chinese. It's Mandarin. That is the language from Beijing.
Yes.
However, your city have a language itself.
Yes.
So, and this language, can you hear it easily?
Actually, it's not just one language. I feel like it's a bunch of languages. Some can be pretty difficult to understand. I've already heard people say my native language just sounds like Japanese.
Yes. So exactly, a few people are saying exactly this, that your language sounds like Japanese. I have a friend, a family member, that said that your language looks a little like a Middle East language.
And it's not just about the sounds, the tones, the content of the same thing can be variety ways also.
Exactly. So this is why we want to make voice repository, and this is what is voice repository. Is a way to preserve the language for the future generations and hopefully for our own generation, be able to study it, maybe learn it, speak it, and to be studied.
Yeah. Think about it, to understand the reason, the culture behind these languages.
Let's talk about the culture in the next video. Have a very nice...
I cannot wait.
All right. Okay, thank you for watching. This is our first video of Voice Repository. I hope you had understood our project idea. Contact us if you have any question, and we're gonna be just right there to answer you. Bye-bye.
See you next time.